Welcome to the Raff and Raff rant. I'm Raff.
And I'm Raff. We're Raff.
Raff Farisco of the Far From Vesuvius podcast. That's Ralph Pizarro of Calcio Napoli Club. Just rant about Napoli.
Let's go for it.
We're going to rant. We're going to match report. We're going to talk about the games. We're going to talk about topics. You leave comments and we'll read your comments out, question you.
All right. Quick stats.
Yes. Throw the stats up there. On to a nice little segment that we're going to call the Beast of the Match.
Who's beasting it for the Napoli team? Let's see.
Follow us on Facebook, Raffaele Rispo, Ralph Pizarro, Twitter at RaffaNapoli83. That's me.
CNC USA 26.
I want some feedback to the show. What do you guys want to see? What do you want to see more and less of? This is going to be a show for you guys too. I want a lot of comments.
We want to rant about something. Let us know if you want us to rant about something.
I promise you, we're not going to agree on everything all the time.
We won't.
We're going to yell at each other every now and then.
Come and rant. This is what it's for. We want to give you a space to let loose so you can do it here.
Well, that's going to do it, Ralph. You know, were we boring enough for you?
I don't know. I think we were great.
Let's get to it.
And benvenuti, fellas and bellas all over the world. Welcome to another episode of the Raff and Raff Rant. I am your host, Raff Pizarro, joined by my co-host, the Vicar of Vesuvius, Rafa Rispo. Welcome, sir. Welcome. How are you doing today, Rafa?
I'm pissed off.
Pissed off? Yes, you are. Hello to everybody.
I'm pissed off.
I'm sorry. Hello to everybody in the chat. We saw you online. And Yeli Estras from Zach over there, Mateo. Oh, I knew it was coming. I even dropped a question on yesterday's. Can't wait to hear you guys rant. Mateo, get strapped in because, boy, we ranting. Michael Lisi, incoming. That's for sure. Jonathan, no to Americanizing football. That's good. Francesco, how are you? Como stai? Everything good. Michael, let's get this rant on. Paulie Paul, get fired. You know what I'm doing. All right. Nice shirt refill. Are they for sale? I don't know. Make an offer we can't refuse, Francesco. Philip, no more Juventus. Speaking of Juventus, though, guys, we do have a special guest today joining us to talk about the Super League. A big super no for most, some for yes. We want to know. Share all your thoughts in the chat. Let us know so we can broadcast you up here. But joining us today, good friend of ours, Cliff Esmiol. Welcome to the show, sir. Hello, Cliff. How are you?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. I've seen the show a few times, so it's really cool to finally be on the show with you to discuss some really interesting topics that we have, the Super League.
Yeah. So, Cliff, welcome first and foremost. Now, we have to make our disclaimer here. You're a Juve fan. Is that correct?
Yes, okay. Yes. I know. Unfortunately for you guys, I am a Juventus fan.
It's okay. We try to keep an open mind here on the Raff and Raff Rant. Right?
Listen, you're a Juve fan, but your family's from where?
So my family is just outside of Napoli, Avellino. So my whole family is Napolitana, I guess. They're Napoli fans, so there's a lot of rivalry within the family.
Yes. Okay. Well, listen, chat, let's not all kill this guy for being a Juve fan.
Be nice to our guests, guys.
No, listen, and here's a big reason why we brought this guy in, okay? And Giovanni Dascigno is in here now, and he knows a thing or two about family being Napoli fans. We brought Cliff in today because Cliff is dead set against this European Super League. And as a Juventino, I really, really wanted to bring him in and get his opinions, his words, how he feels about the club joining this Super League, how he gets, how just his initial thought reactions. I think, I had a guest lined up that was for the Super League and we were going to, fight against each other. But I'm happy to bring in a Juventino who I consider a pretty good friend of mine. We're in the CalcioCast chat together. He's a really cool dude. He's a very good, he's a realist. You know what I mean? He'll tell you like it is. And he's not just because he's a Juve fan, jumping on board for this. He's not jumping on board. So, let's all just kind of at first here, just get
initial reactions? Because I know, Ralphie, I know that you just read up on it. You just watched some videos on it.
Yeah,
You know,
I had a crash course in Super League 4
Yeah.
o'clock today. Yeah. Been quite the
you
day,
know,
let me tell you.
what's your initial reaction? Because this is Mike Borelli. You know, he said it best himself. For me, I think it's the end of football. It really is. It's the beginning of the end.
I mean, from what I gathered, it seems almost like this pretentious league, right? Because the founders of the league get some type of special immunity, and then there's like this chance for 5 people to go in or out. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm not 100% yes or no, but I'm leaning no only because the way it seems to be going about everything, I wasn't crazy about. Because it's not just the teams. You got to think about the players now too, who are on these teams, and with UEFA and FIFA and all the other federations threatening players, them being eligible to play in the World Cup, I think is pretty harsh on these players, and they have to figure out now what their contracts are. I'm sure like all these players on all these teams are getting all lawyered up, and it seems like a big mess. I want to know, and I'm here today. Hopefully I can find out from one of you gentlemen or somebody in the chat is like, what's the benefits of these leagues? Is there something positive about it? What's the negatives? And I'm still digging through some of it because I didn't want to just have kind of a knee-jerk reaction to it. But so I don't know. At first glance, it's like, whoa, what is all this, But at the same time, can it help football or can it ultimately hurt football? So that's my take for now. That might change by the end of the show. Cliff?
Yeah, so my initial thoughts were this is one of the biggest money grabs in history. And as a Juventus fan, I hate it. I went on Twitter and made an official statement. Being the big Twitter president, no, I'm kidding. I had said that if they go through with this, if Juventus stay in this league, I will convert to a Napoli fan. If they stay in this league. And if they come out of it, then I will join Juventus. But in the meantime, I will not support a club and an owner that is for just being about money and not being for the fans and about the beautiful game. I would not support that.
But here's the thing, Cliff, is that they're gonna go into this, and there's no coming out of this. They're not getting relegated. These 12 teams are founding members, and there might be more. There might be more founding members. They're
trying to have 15, right?
They're saying they want a 20-team league with 15 founding members and 5 teams finding a way in, whether it be and it said based on performance. So I'm guessing the top 5 ranked champions of the leagues. But what does that accomplish? Like how like it's so mind-boggling. Like why can't they get into this league based on that merit? Someone said that this is here. Someone for the league, Pro League, said that this is to replace the Champions League. You're not replacing the Champions League. You don't effectively tell UEFA, okay, the Champions League is dead.
Yeah.
The Super League is going to replace the Champions League. UEFA makes that decision.
Right.
If UEFA were backing this decision, they would say, okay, here's the Super League. We're going to have all these teams because they're whatever, and 5 teams get the. You mean to tell me Arsenal can never get relegated from the Super League? You mean to tell me that, like the way they describe it is that you get 5 teams that come in based on performance. Okay, based on what performance? Your league performance. So if they win, if one of those 5 teams win the whole Super League, but they don't perform well in their domestic league, they have to leave this Super League, but all these other teams get to stay because they're a founding member. Why? Because they have money. Why?
Right.
Because they have, and that's another thing. They might have money, but they're all in debt. Almost every single team.
That's the big thing.
Every single team that's a part of this Super League is in debt.
I wanted to address one question, Rafa, and then I'm going to let you continue, Rob Napoli. So who picked, Rob Napoli says, so who picked these teams and for what merit, the relationship to the banks? It's true. That's one question. I was like, the entry fee for each team is like $400 million. And what I do know is that J.P. Morgan is in on this. They're trying to get them to raise some funds to I guess create this league. Now I'm thinking like some of these teams they're like in debt like $300 million. Where are they gonna pull out another $400 million to come into this league? This is where I'm lost. This is where I'm like, whoa, where's all this money coming from? And again, the whole relegation system, it's kind of like a hybrid of the pyramid system / MLS. It's like what is this? It just feels pretentious right off the bat, you know?
It's a closed league that these 12 teams are getting paid somewhere around the $3.5 billion mark to work on their infrastructure. And this is all being funded by JP Morgan. So essentially, JP Morgan is lending these teams this money, and you know whatever they have to do to pay them back, they'll do. But here's the craziness of the whole thing is that with UEFA coming out and FIFA coming out saying that these players will be banned from competition. Essentially, these guys are a breakaway league that's closed. You know what I mean? So I think if they're going to do that, they need to find another 8 teams, get them to buy in as well, close it, and just F off and see you later. And goodbye. You're out of the leagues. You're out of Italy. You're out of England. You're out of Spain. You're out. It's over. Now,
I was waiting all day to use that.
Great.
but exactly. But here's the thing, and we have the actual format of this Super League, and here it is. So we're looking at 20. That's okay. We're looking at 20 participating clubs with 15 founding clubs and qualifying mechanism for further 5 teams to qualify annually based on achievements in the prior season, which brings me back to my question. If a team wins that qualified to get into the first tournament and they don't do well in their, domestic league, then do they stay? Like, do they get to stay and defend their title, or is it because their name's not Milan or Manchester United or Tottenham or Arsenal or Atletico Madrid, who've won nothing in Europe? Those 3 teams, how do you do that? Anyway, midweek fixtures with all participating clubs continuing to compete in their respective national leagues, preserving the traditional domestic match calendar, which remains at the heart of the club game. Vattene! Are you kidding me? So you want to pay these teams $3.5 billion to work on their infrastructure like they need more money, all of them, okay? To work on their infrastructure to develop this Super League, and then you want them to take the field against Spezia or against Watford or against Eibar? You got to be kidding me. We're talking total domination. Total domination.
Right. How do you compete?
It's already bad enough that Juventus have won 9 Scudetto. It's already bad enough that PSG are the way they are with their league and winning almost every season, probably besides one.
But they didn't PSG turn it down, Rafa?
They did,
PSG
but what I'm
was
trying to say is that right now already currently they're saying that there's not enough competition in the Champions League, in the French League, in the Italian League, in the English League. There's not enough suitable competition for these big teams to play in. Meanwhile, Arsenal are finishing 9th every season. Tottenham can't figure themselves out. Chelsea are a mess all the time now, too. Like, Juventus are about to not make the Champions League for the first time ever with Ronaldo on the team. What gives you the right to just bow out and create this whole new thing, which has been in the works for a while? Don't get me wrong, it has been. But this cannot happen. We cannot let this happen. How could you let these unless you field like a Juve B squad of players that are not involved in this Super League in the actual league. But then what's the sense of that too? You know what I mean? How do you it just doesn't make this whole thing doesn't make sense. This is about these teams breaking away and becoming a league like an American sports team, like the MLS Europe, so to speak. Okay. You are buying yourself into the league. Like MLS teams buy themselves into they buy themselves a spot as a as an expansion team, right? These teams are buying themselves in. They're paying their way in, like Montreal Impact did.
It's like they're taking away the middleman almost.
Seattle Sounders did, right? Like Cincinnati FC did, like Austin FC did. Like they were in the lower leagues, but they won nothing to go up because there's no promotion relegation. So effectively, these guys are trying to make themselves an American sports league. But the problem is that the field is way too big. See, and we talked about this with Giovanni Roscigno on. In American sports, there's no chance for teams from outside of the NFL to come in and beat an NFL team. There's no competition. So that's where the competition's at. So you have movement between players and teams within the league. You don't rarely ever see a deal made for a player from China come over to play for the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? You don't ever see a transfer fee or a trade. You know what I'm saying? These are all within the league in a salary cap as well. Here you want to have players. Like, how do you even deal with other teams in these other leagues? You know what I mean? Especially if UEFA is going to reject all of this. So it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And then what kills me the most is that teams, now listen, we don't like Atalanta. We don't like all these other teams. But teams like Atalanta, who were nothing 5 years ago, teams like Leicester City, who were nothing and won the Premier League, it all means nothing. It all means nothing. Atalanta beat Juve 1-0 this week to take third place and make Juventus, like the fourth place position is in jeopardy. And guess what? At the end of the day, that doesn't mean shit anymore. It doesn't mean a thing. Napoli trying to get to the Champions League, it doesn't matter anymore. Why? It doesn't matter. What are we playing for? I know I'm trying to get with the times when it comes to that jersey that we wore and the modernization of football, what have you. I'm okay with it, but this is not good. When you are taking the structure of football and its essence at its original state, where you play in your domestic league and it means something, the relegation means something. The European places mean something. There's a cup competition that means something. The Scudetto means something. When you're taking that and you're basically saying, meh, vaffanculo mamma, to Serie A and building this European Super League where there's no history, there's no merit, there's no will to. That's another thing. You have a team like Milan against
Jonathan. Hold on, Raff. Jonathan, don't listen to American owners. By the way, when it comes down to soccer, I'll tell you that much.
Never.
Don't listen to us. Not at all. You can listen to us here, but not anywhere else about soccer.
Pull that last part up, Ralph. Pull that last part up. Of
American owners?
No. The Super League.
Got you. Stand by. There we go.
Okay.
Dan Banner. Always
An August start with clubs participating in 2 groups of 10, playing home and away fixtures, with the top 3 in each group automatically qualifying for the quarterfinals. Team finishing 4th and 5th will then compete in a 2-legged playoff for remaining quarterfinal positions. A 2-leg knockout format will use with the final end of May, staged as a single fixture at a neutral venue. So you're gonna have 8 teams out of this eventual 20 qualify for these playoffs, right? The whole point of this competition, the basis of this competition, everybody's saying, like Agnelli, piece of crap, came out and said, okay, he said The competition is gone. We need more competition. We need the best of the best playing against each other. Well, let me tell you something, Andrea Agnelli, because when Juventus is 12th place and it's Juventus versus Tottenham Hotspur, the big match, and Tottenham Hotspur is in 15th place with 2 weeks left of the season and there's no shot at the playoffs, who's going to give a rat's ass? Who's going to give a shit? Especially when Juventus are not playing in Serie A, they are not playing for the Scudetto, they are not playing in the Coppa Italia, they are not playing to play in for Europe, they're not playing for any other competition. They're not even fighting for relegation. There's nothing on the line, literally. And this is, Cliff, what I was talking about in the CultureCast thread with Tim, and trying to say when New York City FC is like 12th in the league with a month left and no hope. What's the reason to watch? Why should I watch? Why should I go to the match? Why should I go see these players? I don't care. There's nothing left to play for. Oh, but there's always next season though, right? Come on, man.
Cliff, let me get your reaction to that.
Disaster.
At least
Especially about
Agnelli. Obviously, listen, our viewers here are going to be a little harsher than Agnelli. Sorry, we're biased. We're Napoli down. But as far as your outlook now towards Juve, and I know what you said about Juve, but as far as Agnelli goes and kind of his look right now is a little bit tarnished. How does that make you feel as a fan?
So overall, I've never loved him as the way he's owned the team and the way that he's kind of went about, going for transfer and the way he does business. He changed the logo recently. He did the deal with Pez. There are just a bunch of things that make sense to me from a business perspective. And just, all these rebranding stuff. But then now everybody's calling him a snake. I absolutely agree. This is one of the this is one of the biggest betrayals. And they said in the chat, they showed the snake emoji. This is one of the biggest betrayals of fans of the game of football, of Serie A in history. And for me, it's a disgrace and it's a sad day to be called a Juventus fan because we expect better from the ownership. We expect better from the world ownership of all these owners. And Raff made a great point. I think we lost to Benevento this year. And you're talking about no competition. Like,
right.
You have the balls to say there's no competition.
There's no competition. How are you going to tell me there's no competition? And then he has the balls to say that there's no competition at a domestic level and in the international level. In the last 3 years since you guys have had Ronaldo, you lost to Ajax, Lyon, and Porto. It got worse and worse every season. It really did.
Absolutely.
Your competition in the knockouts got worse every season, and you still lost. How can you tell me there's no level of competition?
I absolutely agree.
And how could it come from Agnelli's mouth? Like if it came from literally, if it came from Florentino Perez's mouth, which I'm sure it does, but if it came from somebody who's won, 5 out of the last 7 or 8 Champions Leagues, then okay, you know what I'm saying? But Andrea Agnelli has the balls to speak in English and say, "Oh, there's no level of competition in these European leagues, so we have to look out for the fans." You ain't looking out for the fans, bro.
Let me tell you,
he's looking out for his wallet.
The first thing, and I don't mean to gang up on Juve or you, Cliff, or anything, but the first thing that came to mind, because listen, I respect competition. If you're good, you're good. I don't. But here's the deal: in 2006. Napoli, right? And I don't want to bring up the past, but still, it was just a tarnish in Italian soccer. It wasn't just Juve; there was other teams, but Juve was probably the biggest name at the time involved. Since then, Serie A really suffered, and the league had a real hard time at that time bouncing back up into this day. I mean, a lot of good players left. It just downgraded the league. We tarnished our image, and it took a lot to bounce back. And I don't even think we're quite there yet as a league. I think look at our presence in the European theater now. It's not that great. It also made things more expensive for Italian teams because now to attract big names, you had to overpay because nobody wanted to go to the Italian league, so you had to drop a little bit more guap on these players. And what happened? a lot of teams started failing, especially the smaller clubs. So what I was most pissed about is like, how dare you make it hard for everybody else?
Yeah.
And now we're on the come up. We're getting closer. And now you want to leave? And not only that, but like the whole Ronaldo thing when they purchased him was dodgy at best. And I don't get I mean, maybe if I'm wrong, it was Fiat subsidizing the salary. Is that how it goes? Like just to be quick on that, I think it was something like that. And at the same time, there was factory workers getting laid off. I just don't understand how you can be dodgy, you can ruin the league, you can participate in cheating, and then feel like saying, you know what, I'm good here, I'm out. I'm just going to start another league with the rest of these teams that I don't want to call them cheaters or anything. I don't think that, but still, it feels unfair that Serie A and a lot of Italian teams had to go through this, and now this happens. It feels like a little bit of a smack in the mouth.
Yeah, and
Cliff.
I was giving you some truer words than what you said, but it's a family show, so we're gonna keep it clean.
No.
But yeah, I'm disgusted. I'm disgraced, like everybody else is, from what these owners have done. The only thing I was gonna say in sort of a defense of the Super League is if it was I was telling you guys before the show, if it was like a every 3 year kind of setup, and it was cut in half, like it was the top 2 teams that finished every single league, where there's
Right.
that competition, and you're promoting good competition, and it's not just a handout for whoever has money, because then it's open for an Atalanta, a Napoli,
Right.
a mid-level team, a chance to get
Right.
in it. So I think that would be a cool thing, like a premium kind of Champions League, an extra kind of competition where you can see the best
Right.
of the best teams competing. But obviously they have not gone that route. And something else you guys didn't mention was Ronaldo and Messi. I think the world is waiting to see what are they going to say about this, because I have a feeling Ronaldo's going to keep quiet, because I feel like he's a little bit more about his money and his brand. But I
Yeah, he
think
gets 36 mil. He got nothing to worry about.
yeah, I do think though Messi will speak up about the game. I think he'll say for the integrity of the game, this is wrong. And I think when you see these big players hopefully speak out soon, you'll see things I think change. And I really think at the end of the day, this won't happen, because it's just, this ruins the economy of soccer. I just told someone today that the economy of soccer just exploded from this news. So I just hope it doesn't happen, because as a fan, I told you I wouldn't support them anymore. I have a Pirlo jersey. I'm not going to burn it, but I definitely will look at it with a little bit of disdain when I see the colors of
Yeah.
Juve.
Put it up for auction, maybe get a couple.
Nope,
Since we're all
I'm not
about
touching
our
that.
money, we're all about our money. Rafa, I know we have the Champions League too.
Well,
having
so
a
here's
small
the thing.
change.
Here's the thing: is that I'm getting into sort of a back and forth on Twitter with Martino Puccio, and I don't know if Cliff you know him or Rafa you know him, but we're talking about, he's a Milan fan, and we're talking about how he's not for this competition either, but he also doesn't blame them because of UEFA being corrupt and FIFA being corrupt, and it's not like UEFA or FIFA are the good guys in this case either. And I really want to come out and say that, yeah, he's correct. It's right. UEFA, the financial fair play issues that UEFA tried to hand down, he really slapped Milan hard with that. Inter got away with some stuff, but when it came down to, Inter had to find their way to make the balance the books and make it better. Milan had a season out of Europe because of it. But when all these bigger teams like City and other teams that had to go through it, Chelsea, they all got away with it scot-free. Well, Chelsea had a transfer ban for a couple years too, but still the point is that everybody gets a slap in the wrist. Man City's in the semifinal, and they were at risk of missing like the next 3 European competitions, but they got away with it with no ban, which is BS if you ask me. It makes me like I don't like City at all, and I'm embarrassed to even be a New York City FC fan because they're associated, makes me kind of want to go back to Red Bull, but I devoted myself to NYC. I'm an NYC guy. I love my city. But it's just it's a shame because UEFA and FIFA are not the good guys in this case either. And if it wasn't for them, these teams wouldn't be looking to seek their positions elsewhere.
Do you? Go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I had a question, but I want you to finish your point though. If
well, so but my while I realize that, right? This is still the way it's been since forever. By breaking away and rendering the domestic leagues, essentially rendering them obsolete, okay? You're slapping in the face of everybody else who's in the UEFA organization who try to excel. You know, this Atalanta team has gotten themselves into Champions League the last 3 seasons, Europe the last 5. You know, you have a team like Sassuolo that was on the cusp a little bit. You have teams like Roma and Lazio who are trying to get back in. You have teams like, you know, Benevento who are trying to stay up in Serie A, who are trying to make a European spot, or Verona who almost made a European spot. You know what I mean? You have these teams, you know, and there are others in the world that, like Leicester City, you know, their big time Premier League win was the most shocking thing that football's ever seen. But basically, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Manchester United, Manchester City, the Barcelona, Real, all these 12 teams are essentially spitting in the face of all these little teams and saying, you don't have a place here. And it's literally what Andrea Agnelli said about Atalanta. Again, I'm no fan of Atalanta, and big part of it is because of their coach. He's a scumbag. Can't stand him, right? But how are you in a position to tell a team like Atalanta, who just smacked the shit out of you on the weekend, that you have no place in Europe? Beat them.
Smacked them. They won by
Won the
one
match.
goal.
Won the match, though.
True.
Won the
They
match.
win.
Okay, won the match fair and square. How can you sit
you're
there
behind
and
enemy
tell me-
lines, Cliff.
Yeah.
Yes. Listen, how can you sit there and tell me that Atalanta don't have a right to play in the top level of European football? You can't.
Yeah.
You can't say that. It's not right. It's not fair. And that's what's boiling my blood. That's what's boiling my blood, is that the Napoli were knocked out of the Champions League. They finished in 7th, and now they're trying to come back. It makes this whole season just a wash. It's like a wash.
Yeah.
It's a wash. You know, why you're telling Napoli, well, you know what? You're not big enough to play, so even if you get to 4th, you ain't nothing. You know what I mean? And that's not fair, because for the last decade, Milan and Inter weren't shit either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But they're in.
Raff, I want to play. So I want to play. Not necessarily devil's advocate, but I'm just gonna put this one up. Peter Scala. That's how bad the Super League is making UEFA look like good guys, and I think this is significant. This statement, because I don't like some of the shit that UEFA and FIFA do either, and that's the deal. And I think the one thing about the Super League, do UEFA really feel that threatened? Why? Because these teams are kind of trying to eliminate like a middleman, so to speak, to it all. Because these guys, UEFA and FIFA, racking big money, big money.
They're rendering the Champions League obsolete. Like, they're not only rendering domestic football obsolete.
You having 4 teams from England already, for me, renders the Champions League obsolete.
And
smaller
they just
teams
reformed,
they gotta,
and they just reformed the new,
because this is
structure.
not a Champions League. This is not champion is not 4th place in England. I don't, or Italy or Spain. It's bullcrap. And then some team in Romania got to jump through hoops to get one spot.
Listen.
Like, come on,
it's
a watered down. Right. It's a watered down tournament. They need help.
It's been watered down for a long time. You're 100% right.
It's shit, in my opinion.
Well, listen to me. And then they created this Europa Conference League, when what they could have done was bring back the Cup Winners' Cup. You ask me, that's the most exciting tournament I ever watched as a kid. Cliff, how old are you, Cliff?
I'm 23.
When I was 23, the Cup Winners' Cup had disbanded at that point. But when I was a kid, the Coppa delle Coppe was like, oh snap, you got to win the cup to be in this competition. You're like an elite company. You know, it's one team from every league. The only other team that stayed in that competition was the winner of that competition, right? And it was the same thing with the UEFA Champions League when they were the European Champions Cup, and the UEFA Cup had the multiple tournament. Like the UEFA Cup when I was a kid was the Champions League of now. And that's that's what makes Maradona's Napoli's triumph in '89. That's what makes it so special, because look at the teams they got rid of. They got rid of Juventus in the quarterfinal. They got rid of Bayern Munich in the semifinal. They beat Stuttgart in the final with Klinsmann on the team. Okay, this Napoli team won the Champions League of today is what they won. Okay, without the champions of every league, because those teams were playing in a Champions Cup, in a true Champions Cup. There's no. I agree. You're right. It's all watered down. All of it is watered down. And when they announced this Europa Conference League, I rolled my eyes because it's ridiculous. It's just a third competition for one less team to go to Europa League, but the rest of those teams go to Conference League. So what does that mean? It does. What does it mean?
Cliff, your reaction on the UEFA here about our comments.
So you're absolutely right. You're making UEFA look like the good guys when literally they're not stealing money, but they're making bags and bags of money. And like you said, City got away with essentially murder with what they did. They just take in so much money and they don't get banned for it. There's so much shady stuff that goes on. So you make an argument that it's kind of, who do you want to pick? Which devil are you going with? But in terms of Europa League, it's funny because for the last few years, I've never watched Europa League in my life. I think it's completely irrelevant. So you're going to add the competition lower. What'd you say?
You're about to next season.
No, I still won't watch it.
Cliff. You're about to next season.
No, I can guarantee you, if Juve was in it, I would not watch Europa League. There's really
Cliff.
There's no incentive.
It's not that bad.
Why?
It's really bad.
The winner gets the championship.
You know why? There's no incentive, Rafa? Because all the best teams, 1, 2, 3, and 4, are all in the fucking Champions League. That's why.
Exactly.
That's why nobody wants to watch.
Time out.
Only the people whose teams are in it, though.
Time out. Roma is in the semifinal of the Champions League. If they get past United and win this final, they're in the Champions League next season, and they're not going to finish top 4. So now we have 5 Italians in the Champions League. Should there be 5 Italians in the Champions League? No. No, there shouldn't.
No.
But that's the way it is, and that's where I'm coming from. Is that yes, the Europa League now is a watered down version of what it used to be. It's less than what it used to be in the 80s and 90s. It really is. But in the 80s and 90s, that was a very prestigious cup to win, and Napoli won that. So how come Napoli don't get a spot in the Super League? They won a European trophy with Maradona. Their books are balanced. They're not a broke club. They've got money. What's up with that? How come Napoli don't get in? What I'm saying to you, Cliff, hold on before you make your point. What I'm saying is Tottenham gets in though, right? What have they won? They won a couple of UEFA Cups back in the 60s and 70s, right? Before any of us were born, right? What have Arsenal done lately? What have Arsenal done, period? What have Atletico Madrid done lately, besides a few Europa Leagues maybe about 10 years ago? How come Sevilla's not in 5-6-time Europa League winner, 5 in the last 8 seasons? Yeah. Why aren't they in? Where are they at? You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. It's an elite group. It's an elitist group, a bunch of American owners and a bunch of oil tycoons and a bunch of people who think who the hell they are, like Agnelli.
They're washing money, bro. They're washing money, these guys. That's why they got their own
ridiculous. And that's why I'm with UEFA. That's why, because even though these competitions, the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Conference League are all watered down BS tournaments that fourth place, now teams aspire to be fourth and not the champions, you still have to be good to get in.
Mhm.
You still have to qualify. There's still something to play for in your domestic league. There's still a reason to watch Serie A is to get to Europe. There's still a reason. That's why I'm taking UEFA side.
Mhm.
That's why, not because they're
I
clean
agree.
and squeaky clean, not because they're moral, not because they have this high standard, but because to get to those competitions, to call yourself the best in the world, you have to win in Italy. Now it doesn't freaking matter. It doesn't matter. You're taking the Scudetto. You're taking years and years. You're taking teams that have done amazing things to win this badge, and you're rendering it all obsolete. Means nothing.
Well done. Well done.
Love it. Cliff, I'll give you a moment to respond.
So I was gonna say, first of all, Spurs and Arsenal haven't won a bag of chips in the last 20 years, so I absolutely agree with you. And second, I completely agree with you. If Juve don't make top four, which right now it's looking like they're not going to, how much of how many eggs are gonna get thrown at Agnelli for the stuff that he's been saying? But I want to applaud Bayern and PSG for staying their ground and not joining this league for two reasons. One, I think Bundesliga is very competitive, and two, PSG might not win the league. Lille, last time I checked, were in first place. So if they joined, they'd be hypocrites as well for not winning their own league. But you're absolutely right. Napoli, they're a storied club as well. So I mean, they're drawing this line where they're like, oh, we're storied clubs, but you're not relevant. Juventus is not relevant. PSG might not win their league. Like even Real Madrid have had struggled in their own league lately. So it frustrates me so much seeing all this talk, but I really don't think it's gonna happen for the pure fact that basically I would say 95% of the world's football fans disagree with this. And I guarantee you, this is such a point where they will refuse to go to games. They will refuse to pay to go to games. As much as we love the game, we don't want this to happen. It would be a disgrace.
Now, with Bayern Munich, though, they have this thing in Germany where the fans have like the final say or something like that.
51%.
Oh.
They're 51% stock shareholders.
Yeah, it's like 50+1 or something they call it, or
I-
something like that, right? Yeah, so I think it has to do, like, I guess the final decision, comes down to the fans, which, I mean,
Hell, that should be
which
for every
kind of
team.
speaks volumes, right? Maybe, I guess, those damn Germans and their systems. But, yeah, the 50+1 rule.
Hold on a minute. Jonathan, dude, Napoli won 3 Coppa Italias this decade.
Jonathan's saying.
What does that have to do with anything? Arsenal won 4 FA Cups. And so what? Who cares? Who cares? Right? Because nobody gives a shit about Coppa Italia, right? Nobody outside of teams that actually win the Coppa Italia cares about the Coppa Italia, right? Right? So who cares that Arsenal won 4 FA Cups? Who cares? What have they done in Europe? What have they done to deserve being in this European Super League, dude? Nothing. They've done nothing. They haven't even seen the Champions. They haven't seen the Champions League in a decade, man. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah.
Napoli announces they're not joining the Super League and they have no interest in this kind of project. I'm so proud of our club. We say no to the Super League. President Aurelio De Laurentiis also added. Now,
and can I say something quick?
Go ahead,
yeah, I hate De Laurentiis, but this is the first time I will ever applaud him for doing something because good on him for not joining. He's not looking for the money grab.
I like to believe that if he was asked to join, he would.
Yeah,
probably.
I'd like to believe that if he was asked to join, but at the same token, hold on. At the same token, if anyone was asked to join, I think they would. I think these teams that are coming out saying no, they're not going to join, are teams that are not being asked to join.
Right.
At the same time, I don't think anyone's being asked to join. I think these 12 teams are working together, and they're going to try to get these big-name clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Can I be honest? How many more freaking tournaments do we need? It's starting to get redundant and corny.
Yeah.
And, I mean, look. Dude, look what happened in January with all the top teams in Italy, with all these games going on, with all this shit going on.
Yeah.
Everybody was hurt. We didn't see the same quality on the in the domestic leagues. I'm not sure if we see the same quality even in these UEFA tournaments. I just like, as far as Super League goes, I could understand if it was, like you said, something that it would be more more for the pyramid system, as opposed to this like exclusive, pretentious kind of group. But to be quite honest, how much is it a Champions League when, again, you have the third and fourth players, or the third team, of the respective leagues in there? I think UEFA, they were asking for something like this from these clubs sometimes. Sometimes I feel that
why
way.
Why don't you get the new
Let's
format
get
of
that,
the Champions
yeah,
League, because
we'll do that.
that's going to say a lot too. That's coming up. The fact is that UEFA had already come out with a proposal for a new format for the Champions League, and they've decided to go through with it on the backing of this whole on the hind legs of this whole Super League coming to fruition. So it's 36 teams instead of 32. This is all starting in 23-24, right? So the 22-23 season will be the qualifiers for this, will be the way to get in. It's 36 instead of 32. New spots for elite clubs that failed to qualify. That pissed me off.
Hey, thank you, Quentin. Appreciate that.
That pissed me off, because that's when, and Cliff, I think you know, because I'd said it in the chat. I think I brought it to the chat. Like who do these teams think they are that could just get into this club because of history? Now, I recently found out that what they're going to do is they're going to have new spots. Those 4 new spots, 32 and 36 instead of 32, are going to go to the highest coefficient ranking club that did not make the Champions League through their domestic league. So they're still getting in based on performance of the last 5 seasons. And I'm okay with that. Because when I saw this exact wording, new spots for elite clubs that failed to qualify, what do you mean elite clubs? What does that mean? So Real Madrid doesn't make 4th place to get to go in? But at least these teams are being put in based on the performances of the last 5 seasons, which I'm okay with. Fine. If Bayer Leverkusen somehow doesn't make the Champions League, but you look at their last 5 seasons and they're top 4 in the coefficients clubs who did not qualify for the Champions League, they can come in. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with 36 teams. I'm not okay with one league instead of groups. I'm not okay with best 8 to reach the knockouts. I'm not okay with other teams to qualify through new round of playoffs. Basically, what's going to happen is you get 10 games in a group stage. Right, every team plays 10 games, and then the top 8 go straight to a round of 16, but there's a round of 32 to determine the other 16. So instead of the top 2 teams in 4 groups, you've got teams 9 through 32 are going to play in another group of knockout rounds. So essentially it's a round of 32, then a round of 16, introducing the 8 from the group winners. So, or the top 8 teams in the one group. So it's a mess. It's a mess because you're increasing the amount of games that have to be played. There's already a crazy amount of games that have to be played every season for teams that are in all these competitions. It's already a madhouse.
This is what I'm trying to say. Now, Cliff, let me ask you, because you had your opinion. Rafa, can I keep this? Want me to keep this on a little bit longer? I'll go back to it. We'll go in and out of it. No worries. Yeah, I have it ready to go. I wanted to ask you, Cliff, because you had mentioned about the Europa League a minute ago. And and I see some questions out in the chat that we're going to get to as well. But what if Champions League, instead of being 4 teams, were 2 from each league? All right. And then Europa League, instead of 5-6, were maybe 3-4. And then this new conference league, instead of being 7-8, was 5-6. don't you think you would kind of see better competition in a Europa League if the 3 and 4 spots of the respective leagues were in there? Like wouldn't you see more would it be more of a prestigious tournament if the 3 and 4 guys were in those tournaments as opposed to the 5 and 6 guys for
I
other
mean,
leagues?
that's not a bad idea at all. I think that's something that they really should take into consideration, making it more exclusive, so that you're not getting like, I mean, yeah, if Benevento put it up and got into that third tournament, yeah, but people would kind of be like, okay, well, that's kind of easy. Like if they made it into that fourth spot or something, then it's a little bit more interesting. But to two, three, four, and then 5 and 6, that's kind of, I think that's really a good idea. I think it's a lot more competitive. You're getting better quality. People are going to be willing to watch that. Like, I think as it's formatted now, who would be in the third tournament? It would like be mid-table sides, basically.
Right now, the way it is this: you go top 4 Champions League, right?
Yep.
As it stands right now, 5 gets the Europa League,
5 gets through.
and the cup winners, they get the Europa League, right? 6 gets the Conference League. Now, if the cup winner, which this season it will be either Atalanta or Juventus, if the cup winner finishes in a European place, then Europa League goes to 5 and 6, and then the Conference League is 7. Okay, which is the way it usually is every season, though, Cliff. The top 4 go to the Champions League. It's 5 and 6 for the Europa League and the cup winners. So normally, if a cup winner finishes top 7, it's 5, 6, and 7. You understand? If the cup winner finishes outside of the top 6, then that team gets the Europa League along with 5 and 6. So nothing's really changed except for the fact that there's a third tournament. It's a much less prestigious tournament that 6th place gets to. So as the standings look right now, Napoli are in the Europa League. So will Lazio be, and then Roma get the Conference League.
So I guess if you're going to leave it if you left it as is, 4 in Champions League, 2 in Europa League, I guess I'd be okay with that. But then this next league, the 7th place team will be giving out like trophies in 10th place. Like,
well,
of course,
that's the thing is, Cliff, is that this new league is designed to get teams from other countries that don't make Europe into a European competition. So the Italian league, the English league, the Spanish league, and the German league only get one representative from the Conference League, no matter what. There's only one team that make it to the Conference League. England, it's the League Cup winners that get the Conference League. It's not even a position in the standings in the league. It's the League Cup winners, because you have the FA Cup winners that go to the Europa League. In England, they're giving that to the League Cup winners. But again, if the League Cup and the FA Cup teams that win those competitions finish in European places already, then it goes to the next best league position. So that's how that works. You know what I mean?
Like, I guess it's cool in the sense that, like, I'd love to see Genoa in a competition in Europe. Yeah, of course I would. I'd like to see them compete. But at the same time,
right?
But these Super League heads are the ones saying that they don't belong in European competitions.
Right.
Yeah, that's why.
And there are a lot of fans out there that feel that Atalanta shouldn't be in the Champions League because they get to the Champions League, they're a small team, they don't have a good salary or payroll or what have you, and then they put 11 behind the ball, and then they don't make it past these rounds. Well, they were almost in the semifinal last season.
Well, people who say that are idiots. Who say Atalanta don't deserve it are idiots. Plain and simple.
It's ridiculous.
They could have beat Real Madrid. They almost beat one of the best teams in the world. So what are people talking about?
They almost beat PSG last season.
Exactly. They were 1
minute. They were like 3 minutes from beating PSG.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I want to touch on something that we haven't spoke about yet. We're getting to the 1 hour mark, so we're going to be in here a few minutes. But to segue into that, I'm going to start with a question from Luca. because there is another effect of what's going on here. But do you think Ronaldo and Messi will miss their last World Cup of their careers for the Super Cut?
Fantastic question.
It's a great question. We'll
Yeah,
address it and lead into also how the super, because UEFA now and FIFA, they're banding together and trying to threaten these teams, saying your players are not eligible for the World Cup. And we can talk smack about the teams and the owners. They deserve it, but the players woke up to this and were like, what's going on? And they must be worried, guys. So, Luca, thank you for the question. But let's talk about this. I'll start off with you, Cliff, real quick, and then Rafa will get to you, and then we'll wrap up, okay?
Yeah. So I saw on Twitter today or Instagram there was a poll about this: should the players be punished essentially for the Super League? And it was almost 50-50 on people saying yes or no, they shouldn't be able to play in the World Cup. I'm like, are you serious? Just because of these greedy owners, you're telling me Ronaldo and Messi don't get to play in their last World Cup? You're telling me that Portugal, Italy, all these teams are gonna miss some of their best players because some guys wanted some extra money? Are you freaking kidding me? It's ridiculous. These players should not have to suffer for the sins of the owners. Essentially, the kids should have to suffer for the sins of the parents. So, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Agreed.
Great question, though.
Rafa?
If I'm Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, and this is a real thing where they can't play, then I'm not playing. I'm going to a team. I'm going to a team that's going to be that's going to let me be, dude, because this is their last chance to win a World Cup. They crave that World Cup. Messi and Ronaldo must win a World Cup before they retire, because I feel like that's the one thing that's eluding them. The one thing that's eluding them is that, and for them to not even be part of it. But see, that's the thing. That's the thing now. Are FIFA and UEFA really going to pull, like, something's got to give here? I don't.
UEFA and FIFA bet together. That's why they get to do that. Because they're just as corrupt as all the damn teams going into that league.
They'll go
That's
back
the problem here.
They'll go back on their word, and they'll let this thing happen. They're going to let this thing happen. The problem is that these teams, like I said, are going to get all these billions of dollars for infrastructure reform, and they're going to load their team with players, and there's going to be no chance for anyone to win anything anywhere. Never mind the Super League. They're never going to be able to win the European. They're never going to win the Champions League. They're not going to get to win the Europa League. They're not going to get to win anything, and it's a goddamn shame. It really is. It's a shame. But if everything goes the way it's supposed to be going, the way it's predicted to go now, then I say no, they're out. They won't risk playing a last World Cup and lifting that in the air. They won't do that. And then Florentino Perez comes out and says that they'll create their own World Cup. He's another clown. That's just a clownish thing to say. It just is.
That's great.
Love that one. All right, guys. Cliff, you want to do a little plug before we cut out? A little plug where people can find you on Twitter?
You can just find me, Cliff Esmiol, on Instagram and Twitter. Also, I did want to get to one comment Quentin said.
Okay.
Cliff, I don't know if you were aware, but this podcast is incredibly influential. We made Gattuso change his tactics, so your opinions on the CL will be taken into consideration for future competitions. And all I want to say is, I know he's absolutely right. You guys are big time, and I still can't believe I'm on the show. So, first of all, second of all, I'm grateful for you guys letting me be on the show. I really, really appreciate it.
I dig the sweatshirt too, buddy. It's pretty cool.
Can
I tell you guys where to get this from?
Go ahead.
Italian Football TV, Calcio.
Right.
The boys Marco and Mike from IFTV. I'm actually going to see them in a few weeks in Brooklyn, so I'm very excited to see them.
Tell
them we said hi.
Yeah,
I met Marco and Mike. I met Marco and Mike in 2019 in Michigan and in Miami. Top guys. I don't always agree with their takes, and sometimes it's a little comical, but those two guys are top human beings, dude. Like, I have the utmost respect for those two dudes. And we had Marco on for after the Supercoppa. You weren't a viewer at the time, but we had Marco on here after the Supercoppa, so that was a lot of fun. Just
Good
like
dudes. Good
they
show.
catch so much, they catch so much crap from a lot of
Yeah.
people, but they are such good dudes. And please give them our best.
Yeah.
Tell
Tell
them,
them to say hi. Tell them they got to
tell
come
them
back on soon.
They
You know.
have to come back on. Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love
it's
for
all-
Marco or Mike to come on. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
guys. Listen, we're going to wrap it up here. Big Forza Napoli to everybody. Thank you for all the viewers. If you're here on the replays, please hit like, subscribe, share. Let's get this thing growing. Cliff, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
coming
guys
on
so
today.
much.
It's been a
Grazie mille.
pleasure. Rafa, great show as always.
Thank you, my friend.
And then we'll see each other soon, all right? Until then,
Forza Napoli sempre. Juve
Ciao,
merda.
guys. Don't say it, Cliff.
Forza Juve.
All right, that's it. Give you one chance. That's it. All right.
Cliff, thanks for coming. Now
Thank
Thanks
you
for coming.
guys. Thank
Hold
you.
on,
Such a
hold on,
pleasure.
hold on.
Love you,
Hold on,
Cliff.
hold
Thanks,
on, hold on.
buddy.
I got one
Appreciate
for
it.
that. I got one for that.
It's like the heel won the main event at WrestleMania.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right. Yeah, I used to watch Richard Bay back in the day, so I love these little sound effects things. So
Awesome.
anyway, get at me, guys. Forza Napoli. We'll see you again soon. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah.